So, on the ride home last night, I was doing a lot of thinking about the problem with the motor. And I was thinking that it's dumping oil out the exhaust. There's no blow-by coming out of the breathers. And there's no PCV. And it just didn't make sense, because if the oil, typically oil will come past the rings to get into the cylinder. And if that's the case, if the oil can come up by it, then compression is going to blast by it, and it's going to push a ton of pressure out the breathers. Nothing was coming out of the breathers. So I had the intake gasket issue initially, and I was thinking maybe where that intake gasket didn't fit too good, it might have sucked up. So I just went down with the borescope, couldn't really see anything, but I finally got down far enough, and the valve stem on the intake was dry. And then I was thinking that I wonder if a rocker broke, push rod bent, or anything like that, and the intake valve wasn't opening. Because if the intake valve isn't opening, you're coming in on the intake stroke, the piston's coming down, and it's trying to draw air and fuel from the intake to be able to make a combustion. So it's pulling a vacuum, and if that intake valve's not open and it's pulling down, it's going to pull air from somewhere, the rings. It'll suck by the rings. So I pulled the valve cover, and sure enough, the rocker backed off. That's probably my fault. I probably didn't tighten the keeper good enough, because I adjusted all these valves. But I spun it back down. But that intake rocker totally backed off. And you can see, I can just spin that down. And even like that nut the keeper must have rattled itself down some. But so I'm going to say that was my fault, because like I said, I was in there adjusting the valves, and out of 16 valves, maybe I didn't tighten it good enough. It's very possible. I typically go around and re-hit them all. Maybe there was a little piece of dirt in there and it was catching the threads. Most likely I just missed it. It was a rush build. These things happen. So that's pretty hopeful that the motor is not hurt. I might be able to just readjust that, and this thing may run substantially better, because that's going to be a loss of vacuum and sucking oil in, fouling that plug, no fuel or air coming in. So it was with that, this was 100% running on 7 cylinders. So for doing what it did with 7 cylinders, damn, I want to go back and run it on 8. I wish I would have been a little more clear-headed, but just the rush of everything, lack of sleep, and everything else, I wasn't thinking straight. But had I pulled that valve cover off there and looked, because like I said, I thought about all this on my ride home. So it wasn't like I did research or anything like that. It was strictly just thinking about it for the ride. And had I just had a clear head, or one night, if I had been there Saturday, I probably would have thought about it overnight, looked at it Sunday. But either way, I still had a freaking blast and beyond thrilled. And now I'm excited that this is probably a healthy motor, because the oil's still clean and everything else and whatnot. And she did pretty good for running on 7 cylinders. So I'm pretty excited. I may have to grab the trailer again and go find a back road in an industrial park to take this thing for a rip. If so, I'll record it. But just figured I'd give you guys an update on the motor, and that's awesome. Some of the oil that sprayed out and ran out of the exhaust on the ride. Down the trailer. Chipped off my crossover tube there. And I had mentioned that the traction bars were super low. So if you look, that's like a little 2-inch lip on the trailer. And where it ends back there, you can see I jammed right into the end of it when I was loading it at the track at the end of the night. It's totally fine. That'll straighten with a pair of channel locks, but that's how low they are. Like, there's the bottom of the tire. They're literally like 2 inches off the ground. So what I'm probably going to do is put lower blocks in and air it out, and then that'll bring those off the ground by another inch or two. Forgot to catch a little video of the back bumper. Nothing compared to what I used to do, but there's some rubber stuck around up on the bottom of the quarter. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me see up there. See if we can get some light on here. There we go. Yeah, there's some. Oh yeah, it's right up in there. Yeah, we got a little rubber. That's satisfying. That's what you call evidence that we were having fun. Alright, so adding into this video I just got from my friend Danielle, she actually got video of mine and my buddy Matt's race with the yellow dragster. So that's awesome. I didn't think anybody got that footage. So I'm going to add that into this update video. And along with that, I still have a few things to deal with at the moment. I ran out to my house the other day to play catch up on landscaping and stuff. I have an abandoned house that I bought as a life restart place. If you guys care to check that out and see what I'm doing in the meantime until my next project, that's pretty impressive. If you go over, you got to go back and check out the first couple of videos to see how bad it was when I started. But anyway, that's Charlie Does It. I'll put a link in the description on this video, I guess. I'll figure that out. But I still got to do the whole garage cleanup in here. There's still just stuff everywhere and whatnot. And I'll get this adjusted. I may do the valve keepers at the same time just so that's resolved, and then I know the motor's kind of pretty much on point, and then I just got to replace that cracked lifter at some point. But with all that said, soon I want to, once the valve's adjusted, change the plug again and get all the oil out of the system and get this thing running the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to find some way to take this thing. I scoped out a couple of areas. Maybe I'll clip in a couple little pieces of video. But scoping out a couple of areas local where I might be able to trailer it, dump it off, have a little bit of fun with it, get some good video content for you guys, and get it back on the trailer without getting in trouble and get it back here. So I'll do my best to do that. Hopefully within a week. I want the satisfaction of feeling how this is on all 8 cylinders. So anyway, enjoy the update on the motor and the dragster race. That was awesome with my buddy. So that was super cool. And definitely keep an eye out for the next video coming of hopefully beating this thing up. And yeah. Thanks again for everything. I appreciate every one of you guys that stuck it out and you watched all the videos and followed through all the comments, all the sharing. The channel's already grown pretty substantially just in this one build. So once my house is done, I'm going to be doing this pretty much all the time. So stick around. Hopefully you guys can get some more entertainment out of me. But anyway, thanks again. You guys are all awesome. Thanks for the support and the encouragement and kind words and all that kept me going throughout all of it. You're all part of this. Thank you. So I'm out scoping out areas I won't show much of the area, but if you look at the street, this might be a viable area. This looks like another viable area. If you can tell what type of areas I'm looking for.